Welcome in, Bills Mafia. I am Joe Miller, sitting in for the big O, Jerry Ostrowski, for this Thursday, May 1st edition of the Overreaction Buffalo Daily Report, where we bring you the daily news coming out of One Bills Drive. After a fiery discussion on WGR 55 with morning hosts Jeremy and Joe, Brandon Beane and the Buffalo Bills have signed veteran wide receiver Elijah Moore, previously with the Browns, drafted by the Jets, to the Buffalo Bills roster on a one-year, heavily incentivized $5 million contract. The expectation, I would assume, is that it has to at least be higher than the Browns tender, which I think was $2.4 million. So I'm sure there's a base a little bit higher than that, but the total reported amount of the contract is $5 million with incentives. And it's interesting because almost immediately after Brandon Beane questioning the radio host on what they were, quote unquote, bitching about regarding the wide receiver room in Buffalo, as all of you probably already know, Brandon Beane was pretty much announcing that the room is better this year than it was last year, and we effectively didn't need to draft any help. It wasn't somewhat of the urgency that maybe the radio host felt that it was. And primarily because the Buffalo Bills, set a record-breaking pace, scoring, or a record-tying pace, scoring 30 points a game, 8 games in a row last season. And then, oddly enough, as irony would have it, the Browns' free agent wide receiver Elijah Moore was then reported to be visiting One Bills Drive for a workout just hours after that interview with Brandon Beane, where he was criticizing the radio hosts. Elijah Moore left the facility on Tuesday without a deal in place, but signed on Wednesday to the Bills roster, thus bolstering what the general manager made seem like was a quote-unquote, season-ready room. Moore, in case you did not know, a 4-year veteran who was drafted by the Jets, then demanded a trade out of New York, only to find himself traded and relegated to the Cleveland Browns. He was out of the street looking for work, and will find it with the 2024 NFL MVP in Josh Allen. No doubt this is the best situation he has not only been in, but could probably possibly even ask for from a quarterback standpoint. Moore ran a sub 440 at the combine, had a lot of potential. Again, was a second-round draft pick. He's taken most of his snaps on the boundary, despite most people considering him a slot receiver. He's not huge in stature. And he has actually posted some quietly what we would consider respectable numbers, despite being buried on depth charts of teams with, let's face it, not the greatest of quarterback play. Moore immediately will enter the Bills roster or this team, this wide receiver room, as the 4th or 5th wide receiver on the depth chart, and should have a chance to live up to his draft hype while he's here in Buffalo, at least for that 1 year. So a restart of Elijah Moore's career. Actually, maybe not even a restart. This might be the start of Elijah Moore's career if it goes well in Buffalo. Time will only tell. And lastly, for today, the schedule release for the NFL. That date is May 14th, just 2 weeks away from today. Potential leaks are already beginning to happen around the NFL. One of the biggest has floated around social media and is now being reported by a local Buffalo news station, is that the potential for the Buffalo Bills to be featured on Christmas Day, which will also signal the last regular season game to ever be played at Ralph Wilson Stadium. Christmas, as you may or may not know, is on a Thursday this year, so the NFL is expected to have a triple header with the NFL MVP and Winter Soldier in Josh Allen. Christmas and the Buffalo Bills may be a primetime marriage in the waiting. For me personally, season ticket holder, I'll be watching those games from the comfort and warmth of my house. But if you want and enjoy those type of festivities on your holidays, whether they're Thanksgivings or Christmases or whatever else, be sure to mark your calendar. Get excited, get ready, because you might have an opportunity to see the Buffalo Bills play on Christmas Day at Ralph Wilson Stadium. Again, the last regular season game at Ralph Wilson Stadium. The expectation would be that there will be other home games following that, at least one, when you consider the playoffs, maybe 2, with the Bills potentially winning the AFC East yet again. But that is your Overreaction Buffalo Daily Report for May 1st, 2025. Be sure to tune in tomorrow for our next installment of the Buffalo Daily Report. Again, with me, Joe Miller, sitting in for the big O, Jerry Ostrowski. But for all of us here at Overreaction, we appreciate you guys. We love you. Thank you so much for tuning in. Go Bills.